All right, I will now explain exercise 5 in more detail. I'm recording this afterwards because I noticed some changes in the GitHub pages settings. But let's go. You can start exercise 5 as usual by accepting the GitHub Classroom assignment. I have actually accepted and deleted my repository, so I'm accepting it again. Always takes a couple of moments, and I'm ready to go. So exercise 5 doesn't have any data or any Jupyter notebooks readily. You need to build the assignment yourself from scratch. And there are two main tasks, plotting a static map and plotting an interactive map. So basically, the idea is to practice the skills, demonstrate the skills we went through in lesson 5. So in the first task, you can select a dataset. The travel time matrix is an excellent choice. You can, for example, take the analysis output from exercise 4 with the dominance areas or travel times to the nearest facility, or any other dataset you would like to visualize. And I would challenge you to, in addition to maybe visualizing something else than the raw data, also to plot several layers into the same figure in order to practice this. The checking of the coordinate reference systems and selecting visualization styles. And if you feel that the map would benefit from a background map, then you can use Contextly to add background map from one of the available tile providers. So choose a topic, plot the map, save it as a PNG file, and the output should be stored in the repository under the docs folder. I will soon explain why. So one map is enough. If you get excited, feel free to plot several ones. And when plotting the map, stop and think about your choices, what elements you visualize in there, color choices, classification scheme, legend, legend title, axis labels. Do you even need the frame around the figure? And consider the good cartographic practices, zoom level, minimizing white space, and so on. So you will then get also feedback regarding the layout of the map and your choices for visualization. Then for the interactive map, same thing, choose a topic, preferably something else than you did for the static map. And then in the interactive map, you can also, if it improves your message, plot several layers on top of each other, or at least add some interactive elements such as the layer control or some tooltips so that the user can interact with the data and get more information about the phenomenon you're visualizing. So don't put too much stuff on the map. That's maybe the bottom line. And here the point is to familiarize yourself with the Folium tools. We had to skip through some of the sections during the lesson, so already repeating the things we did in the lesson, reading Folium documentation, thinking about the visualization choices is then enough for this second problem. Save the map as an HTML file and store that HTML file using your code into the docs folder. And don't remember to commit your notebook file or files as well with the submission. And then finally, I would encourage you to publish your maps online. This is now optional because it requires setting your repository as public. So if you feel uncomfortable with that, you can skip the last step. But this is quite a nice quite a nice exercise and helps you to understand a bit how then you can publish these HTML files or even the static PNG files online, share a link to your classmates and us instructors for then to communicate your map. So I will now spend a couple of moments walking through these steps. We noticed during the lesson that the workflow has changed a bit in comparison to last year. I hadn't noticed that before the lesson. So I will now, I now added these quick instructions in here. We'll show how to do it, and we'll later on then update the web pages, the section where we instruct on how to publish GitHub pages. So I'll start from this docs folder, which we will then use as the source folder for our public web page. If you go to the docs folder in the template repository, you have some example files, and we have this markdown index file for our convenience. We already are familiar with markdown. So then you will add the links to your maps in this markdown file. And you can open this file in the raw or edit mode, or to edit this file, and you should finally add your static map link in here, your interactive map link in here, and this one in here shows you an example syntax of link to a published map. Okay, so how then to publish the maps online once you have stored the files under this docs folder? Step 1, go to the settings of your repository. We scroll down to the danger zone. So these options, you have the admin rights in your repository, so you are able to delete the whole repository and change the repository visibility. That's what we want to do. Click there, make public. Then GitHub asks you to verify that you actually know what you're doing in the correct folder. So type in the repository name with your username. I understand what I'm doing. I'm making my repository public. I need to confirm that with the password. And now everybody can see my files. So that's also one good incentive to document your code well in case somebody goes and sees what you're doing. That was step 1. Then step 2, still on the settings page, let's scroll down to GitHub pages section. So this has now changed a bit. First, the repository has to be public. Second, you need to choose a theme before you can set the source folder or branch for the GitHub pages. So we go here. You can choose whichever theme, but it actually doesn't matter. So I click on some of these themes, select the theme, and then in the background, this will create a new branch. We haven't talked about branches in Git and GitHub a lot, and I won't go into details either now. You can read it. So when we add the theme, GitHub will add this kind of documentation about the basics of that particular theme, and then how to modify details related to that theme. All you need to do is that you commit this change. You can accept the default commit message or type in adding. We're adding a theme to our GitHub pages, and if we would be adding text and other content to the pages, then this would affect the output. But that's just something we apparently need to do. Okay, that's done, step 2. Then step 3, go back to the settings. Under GitHub pages again. So what has happened is that GitHub has created this GH pages branch, which would be the kind of preferred way of organizing your repository if you want to host web pages on GitHub. For the purposes of our little map exercise, we switch back to the master branch. So branch, master, and then folder docs. So now GitHub will look from the master branch, which is where we are committing our changes, pushing our changes all the time, from the docs folder. So that will be then the basis of the published pages, and you can also see the link in here. Then I click save. So now things should be ready on the settings side. I can go back to my little docs folder. You can ignore this GH pages. So once, if you get to the advanced level of using Git, you probably will start using branches. So just to know that branches are, it's kind of a parallel, or at some point, a parallel version of the same repository. And then you can develop, for example, test something out in a branch and then finally merge the versions. But that's there. We stay in the master branch docs folder. And now if you then have your, you should add your interactive map.html, static map.png in here, and add the links. And now if I would, for example, go to my repository's GitHub pages, now that I have published everything, and go to this link, I can see the contents of the test map HTML, which happens to be the output of this employment rate map. The data is from 2013. Maybe I should add that as well in here. But something like this. And now I can then share this link to Slack for all of you to see. So anybody should now see the contents of this web page. And that's the ultimate goal of this problem number 3. Optional, but recommended. Oops. And I would also recommend you to share the links to your maps on Slack. No pressure. You can get inspired about other people's maps. We can have discussion of the choices, cartographic choices made in there. And we can all learn then from each other. That Slack is unfortunately available only for the students at the Helsinki University. But I hope you enjoy this exercise. Feel free to be creative. And again, you can use this to develop your ideas towards the final exercise, and feel free to recycle this code you produce in this exercise in the final exercise. So good luck and enjoy plotting the maps.